Oh, here you go. Right, it's the Serenity Prayer. Right, do you know what this is? Do you know what you're saying? Well, I didn't know too well what I was saying. When I said that, I used to love getting round with the guys at the end of the meeting, and we would have, the sense of unity, and the fact that the meeting has just finished, and it felt good, didn't it? It felt good, right? The Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay? Number one, God, grant me the serenity, the clarity, the peace, and the awareness to accept the things I cannot change. There's number one. Number two, the courage to change the things I can. Okay, one and two. The wisdom, I guess, the mindfulness and yeah, it's a big deal. The serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Right. Number two, the courage to change the things I can. Now, there's a big deal going on there. It's a big deal. It is a big deal, especially in when you're talking recovery and stuff like that. And then the wisdom to know the difference. So number three, the wisdom to know the difference between things you have no control over and things that you can start to change. Yeah. So I might enlarge upon this in the future. All I know is when I was in 12-step recovery meetings, I was there. Of course I was there, and I enjoyed it. The buzz for me, the fellowship, that high, that unity, that purpose was big. And I lasted 5 years in that thing. I lasted 5 years in them groups, and it went quite well. 75% of the time, it was all right. I had a good life. I had a good life. Yeah. And I don't want to put a down on that right now. I just wanted to, that Serenity Prayer. I was thinking about it today because I was thinking about it for somebody else that I know. And it is an introduction, really, to the nature of prayer. It's an introduction to the nature of accepting the things you cannot change, the courage to maybe to start to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference between those two things. Obviously, it starts with God, and obviously that whole nature of choosing your own higher power and stuff, that is highly it's quite dangerous, but if you really are serious about the nature of your recovery and going after God, when I say God, I mean the true God, because if you really and truly want that prayer to be answered, yeah, then the God of Jacob, the God of Abraham, the God of Moses and Noah, and God of Adam will answer your prayer because you're serious about it. If you're really and truly serious about that prayer, the God will answer you. So there's an addition that I want to encourage you, if you're partaking in this prayer, then just beware. Beware. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you pray for, because the God of this world, the God of this universe, the creator of all things, might just answer your prayer and call you to account, and call you to actually live a life of what it means to be called. Yeah, so I'll might talk about that in the future. So be encouraged. Be encouraged. If you're saying that prayer, then be encouraged. Be encouraged to, and even especially if you're in the AA Big Book, it says in there something like, don't, use everything you can spiritually. It talks about joining groups and partaking in that direction that you've started upon, in that area. So in this video, I don't really want to go on about that too much, but it does say build upon what you got. Build upon what you've got. And if that's your starting point, is that Serenity Prayer, then build upon it. Don't sell yourself short with just that, because that is like, if you just say that just because everybody else is saying it and it's just what people are doing, then you're going to run into trouble like I did. You know, my head was wrecked. It took me years really to find clarity. I had recovery, but my head was wrecked. It was wrecked to really be able to listen to anything that was just a little bit biblical. Yeah, obviously I'm not saying the stuff in the meetings is biblical. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it isn't either. I'm just saying back then my head was wrecked, and so I needed time. And praise God, He has all the time in the world.